Yeah, it's easy to read through a list like this. And I think of like in our present situation. Okay, so we're doing a podcast on the theological topic of adoption, and we have certain biblical things that are clear, and then we have some applications we can give. But I mean, this is a nice topic, and we're well behaved. And we can run through this list and say them, and everything that we say might be accurate. But it's a very different thing when, there are those times, even in the Christian's life, where God seems to pull back the curtain and allow you to see the depths of sin that you are still capable of and how ugly it is. And it seems much worse now that you're a Christian than before, because you think, but I've thought those things and said those things and harbored those things against him, my Father, not against this foreign king. So I think it really is wonderful to take these things and say, well, these are true. But then there are those times in the life where these are not just true, these are life and death, and it's almost as if you want to bring this list back to God and say, is it really true? Is it true for me? I would say the one that jumps out at me as showing the most exceeding display of God's love is when he describes the deformity of humanity, that I am spiritually without anything that would attract God. But that's too bland a way of saying it. It's not just that John Snyder didn't have anything particularly special. It's that everything about me, if we think of a child, he says, their life, there's a disease, a leprosy running throughout their body. Imagine every undesirable thing packed into one child, and your heart might go out to them, but you think, but I just don't want that. And God seems to love to show his superior worth by seeking out the worst, And Paul talks about that, that God might be demonstrated to be so gracious and glorious, but he saves the worst of sinners. And we are not just people that aren't perfect. We are thoroughly deformed apart from Christ.
Yeah, I think the one of those that I don't know if the word is grips. The one that I've noticed here in this list is animosity. We are deformed and ugly and all of that, but we also are actively hostile to God. Colossians, our minds are hostile to him. We are enemies to him. So I think of, a little kid, and you go maybe to the adoption agency and you're looking at the kids, and there's the one that's really cute and everything, but then you got the one that's screaming and hitting and kicking and biting and spitting at you. And, there's this active determination to destroy and hurt, and everything that God finds lovely, we hate. And everything that he hates, that's what we want. And he loves us then.
Yeah, with the illustrations of of deformity and animosity, you can still pity deformity. You can say, I don't know if we're up to helping this child. Like, are we adequate for that task? There's so many needs, physical needs. But like you said, that does pale in comparison to the moral ugliness that we actually rage against him as he brings his kindness to us, and he has to conquer us, not just our enemies.
But it's a wonderful thing that he's able to do that. There are children, you adopted maybe a baby, and you love that child, and for whatever reason they grow up with a distrust of you. They know they're adopted, and they're sure that their birth parent wanted them, and you somehow stole them away, and their whole life is kind of raging against you. Maybe it's under the surface, but they're distrustful. But God is able to actually change us, and as you say, conquer us, and all of his children are willing, and he is changing us to love him more and more.
Well, thank you for watching the clip. We hope that it was helpful for you. If you want to hear the full audio of that podcast, you can find it on any of your favorite podcast apps.